Hi, I'm Andy Pearson, Midwest Tar Sands Coordinator with Minnesota 350, and let's talk today about the Alberta Clipper Expansion Project, this tar sands pipeline that would carry more oil across Minnesota and to the rest of the upper Midwest. Right now we have a chance to stand up and protect what we love and say no to this pipeline and its climate change effects, and so let's talk about how to do that. So what is tar sands oil? So tar sands oil is in the ground underneath the boreal forests in Alberta, Canada. Comprises an area about the size of Florida, actually, just to give you a sense of scale. What they do to extract it is they cut down this boreal forest, this northern pine forest, and then they strip mine up the ground, heat it with high pressure steam, leaches out this tarry oil, very thick. So they mix it with lighter oils, then they ship it down on pipelines across northern Minnesota and to the rest of the upper Midwest. Now, about 80% of the oil that we use in our cars and trucks comes from the tar sands right now, so that's an awfully high percentage. A percentage that's maybe even more important is that tar sands oil is at least 17% more carbon intensive than any other oil that we use right now. And it takes about 2 to 4 barrels of water to make every barrel of tar sands oil. So we are burning the dirtiest form of fuel. So what is the Alberta Clipper pipeline and who wants to expand it? Well, Enbridge is a Canadian pipeline company that runs a lot of pipelines in the upper Midwest and across the country. They're one of the main exporters of tar sands oil. They have at least 7 pipelines running across Minnesota right now and many more in the upper Midwest. The Alberta Clipper tar sands pipeline is a pipeline that was first opened in 2010, and when it was opened it carried 450,000 barrels per day of tar sands oil. Now that's an awful lot, but what Enbridge is proposing to do is to expand that pipeline to carry 800,000 barrels per day of tar sands across Minnesota and to the rest of the upper Midwest. Now it's important to note that they don't plan to expand the actual size of the pipe, they're just going to pump the oil harder through the existing line. And it's also important to note that the Midwest doesn't need this oil at this point in time. Enbridge is planning to export this oil, sell it on overseas markets, and sell it to refineries outside of the region. Well, what's our opportunity to stop this expansion? In Minnesota, we have the Public Utilities Commission, which is the regulatory body that oversees pipeline projects like this and ultimately gets to say yes or no as far as whether this expansion can be built. We are in a process right now called a contested case hearing, which is like we're putting the pipeline expansion project on trial. You can think of it that way. There's a judge involved, we get to have hearings and testimony, and most importantly, the public gets to weigh in as far as whether this expansion is actually needed for the state and the region. So as members of the public, how can we make our voices heard on this? There's an administrative law judge named Eric Littman, and he ultimately needs to decide whether or not the Public Utilities Commission should approve or deny this project, and then he'll make a very important official recommendation to the PUC. Now there's 2 ways where citizens can provide their input to this administrative law judge. One is public hearings. Now those may have already happened by the time you see this video. There's a very important one coming up in St. Paul on April 3rd, and if you can be there, make plans to be in St. Paul that day. The other main way that you can give him input is through writing public comments. Now those are very important because he has to read every public comment that is submitted and take that into account when he makes his recommendation. So what we'll need to do all across Minnesota and the region is send him public comments explaining why this is not needed for Minnesota and the region and why expanding the Alberta Clipper tar sands pipeline is a bad idea. We have so many resources available to help you write your public comment. We have a library of fact sheets that describe the reasons why the Alberta Clipper tar sands pipeline expansion project is a bad idea for Minnesota and the region. If you don't already have a paper copy of those fact sheets, you can find links to those fact sheets in the description section of this video. What you should do is take a look. Find a topic that resonates with you in particular, and then use those bullet points to construct a letter to the administrative law judge. And it doesn't have to be long, only a page, that's just fine. Even a paragraph, if that's what you've got time for. The important thing is that he hears from you. On the back side of those fact sheets, or the second page if you're looking at it online, there's information about the format that that letter should take, the email address you should send it to, everything like that. So make sure you refer to that section, because if it doesn't follow the format that's set out, the administrative law judge might not read it, and we want to make sure he reads every one of these public comments. Thanks so much. With your comment and those from hundreds of others, we will stop the Alberta Clipper pipeline expansion. You can get in touch with us at mn350.org, or you can email me directly, andy@mn350.org. Together we can build a stronger climate movement across Minnesota and the upper Midwest and say no to projects like this. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.